What's up, everyone? Welcome to the High Passion Podcast, Season 2. I'm your host, Daniel K., and we're here with another amazing guest, Bud, a.k.a. Bud Tender Dad.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Bud Tender Dad in the house, High Passion Podcast. You know how it go.
Yes, sir. Bud is a CanCell certified bud tender, a content creator, and an overall cannabis advocate. And he's here to tell us about his experience with the cannabis industry and the stigma that comes with it. Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming out, man. It's been great chatting with you on Instagram. You know, we have lots of friends in common. Chino especially. You guys are always hanging out.
Word up, Chino.
Yes, sir. Repping the Unit 15, you
that
know?
too, yeah. Unit 15 or my fam, for sure.
Yeah, so, I love that you made it out, and we finally get to sit down and do this, man.
Thank
so, let's tell the people... Tell them a bit about yourself and like who is Bud Tender Dad.
Sure, I'd love to. And part of the story is I'm still trying to figure out who Bud Tender Dad is. My origins came from being adopted as a child.
Okay.
And I was raised in an environment where drugs were bad, marijuana was on the same level as cocaine,
yeah.
and it was just fear-based thinking, and it was based on Reaganomics is what they called it back in the day.
Years of propaganda.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I found that being submissive as a child was a way to survive life.
Yeah.
I didn't let anybody know who I was. I didn't know at the time, but I have autism, and I was masking it. So I was very good at being complacent, following the rules. My father and my mother who raised me, they raised me to be the vice president of an insurance company. And any artistic qualities were not encouraged at all. Yeah. They were shoved, and so
you're not going to make money doing that type of mentality.
Anything creative, you're not going to make money.
Yeah,
it's almost like
their mind was.
Their mind was, you're stupid. Let me rephrase that. Their mind was like artistic creativity.
Yeah,
is for people, is for bums.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And it was very much of a negative connotation, and the way Bud Tender Dad came about, and maybe we'll get into it a little bit more, but
for sure.
You know, I had a long period where I was on prescription opiates.
Okay.
And it numbed me. It allowed me to go back to that childlike submissiveness. Tell me what to do. Yeah. I knew how to do that. It was ingrained in me, and that was much of my life. So when I say I'm still figuring out who Bud Tender Dad is, in 2017 I came off of methadone.
Oh, wow.
I was on this powerful opiate. I didn't have a problem with opiates. I didn't have any addiction to opiates.
Yeah.
But through my experiences, I met people who introduced me to a doctor.
Got you.
And I found that this drug really helped deal with emotional pain, not just physical pain, but emotional pain. And for 15 years, I was a slave. Every day I woke up and I took this medicine.
Wow.
And during that time, I was completely away from cannabis. I didn't have any involvement in cannabis. And then in 2017 and then further in 2019, I decided I can't do the opiate thing anymore. It's blocking something.
Yeah.
And I found cannabis allowed me to tap into that creativity that I had always blocked.
Which is huge.
Oh, it's you know, it's in all of us.
I agree.
We all have this ability to be creative, but through family structures, through systems, it's almost discouraged in our society.
I mean, a lot of the time it is, right? It's pushed down because it's looked on as like, oh, have it, you know, do this, but have a fallback plan. Oh, you're not going to make enough money doing this, or so make sure you have this, or you go this route. When, I mean, I'm sure you know at this point of life, it really doesn't lead, like, it's all just a what if. Who knows what's going to happen? You could go to university or college and it might not get you anywhere.
Who knows how the world's going to end up, right?
You don't know. So it's like they put all this pressure on being one certain way when, I mean, clearly there's way more out there.
There's other. And you nailed it. I think you really, with what you just said, you nailed it, right? The whole idea that I found with cannabis when I started to get into it, and I want to make sure everybody understands, I am a newbie at cannabis.
Yeah.
That 15 years when I was on methadone, I was not involved in the community. Oftentimes I have conversations with people and they mention names and situations and I'm just nodding my head in agreement. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
Like I wasn't involved at that time.
and even references to people like, you don't know who this is?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'd love to know them, but right now I don't. So
that's the best part.
It is. When you get to know and you shake hands with another human being in the cannabis industry and you meet somebody else who doesn't have that same stigma and judgment, right? It's like the cannabis community is a place where I feel safe.
Yeah.
It's a place where, you know, even though there's judgment and there's drama and stuff like that, like for the most part, everybody cares about making sure that we all feel safe.
Yeah.
And I really try to rep in my videos, in my content on Instagram, people who are doing cannabis correctly.
Yeah.
But to just finalize on that point about who Bud Tender Dad is and who I'm figuring out who that is, it was almost like I never really had a chance to develop ego or develop a personality or develop anything for the outside world because I depended on other people to let me know if I was within the limits, if I was following the rules.
Gotcha.
And I never learned my internal compass.
Yeah.
So when I started Bud Tender Dad, it was around 2020. And it was because of the amount of stigma I saw. And I'm like, I was on methadone for 15 years and nobody
no one said anything.
Nobody questioned anything because I was quiet and I was submissive. And as my personality started to come out, I found that many people misinterpreted my signs, the things I was saying, because it was autism finally coming out. And it was awkward and uncomfortable. But in this society, sometimes people view awkward and uncomfortable and they put a label as crazy.
Yes.
Right? Like, so mental health and cannabis, there's a big association with, oh, we don't understand it, so we're just going to call that person crazy. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to judgment. And what's the difference between me finding this substance that's really helped me?
Yeah.
It's really helped me find a connection with my heart.
With yourself.
Myself, with my community, with my children.
Huge.
You know, so Bud Tender Dad is really just those first initial baby steps.
Yeah.
I'm new in cannabis. I don't pretend to know a lot about cannabis, but you know what I do have is an ability to really appreciate good quality anything.
Yeah.
And especially cannabis. And the really thing the thing that I love about this, the reason why Bud Tender Dad has become such a passion for me is because I finally found something that can help me deal with some of the traumas I've experienced in my life.
Yeah.
Help me deal with sometimes some of the cravings that still come back about opiates.
Yeah.
So why not create a whole identity on Instagram? And over the past few years, I've slowly just been crafting these videos that show cannabis consumption in safe spaces, in legal spaces, so that not just Canada, but the whole world can see that cannabis, the knee-jerk reaction that many people have to cannabis is based on misinformation.
Absolutely.
It's based on stigma and racism. There's a lot of things that people don't challenge about their own internal beliefs.
100%.
So Bud Tender Dad is about letting everybody know, hey, I'm doing something legal. I have a medical certificate to say, hey, you know, this person has benefits from this medically. And I just think that more people need to stand up and say, hey, I'm a parent.
Yep.
I smoke cannabis. And that does not interfere with my ability to be a parent. And that's how it all started. That's how Bud Tender Dad started.
That's awesome, man. And that was honestly, it's one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on, because that was one of the main drivers behind this podcast. Is my mother was a teacher growing up, when I was growing up, but she wasn't able to work in the industry or comfortably work in the industry because she couldn't consume cannabis and be involved in that. And it's just, you know, there's so much more that went on with it, but like, for me to look at the person that I've idolized my whole life and look up to, having to hide things, and big community figure, does things for the baseball league, does things for the hockey league, involved with the school
good
programs,
human being.
just like my idol, you know? And then it'd be like, oh, but I have to hide this, because if people find this out, I'm no longer held to that standard. I was like, this isn't cool.
And as a child, getting that kind of messaging, even though you have that reinforcement from your parents, that everything's okay, you have society whispering in your ear saying you're doing something, or your parents are doing something wrong.
Absolutely, bro. And even to the point of, you know, when I was 17, my house actually got raided. And at that point, the cops were even trying to basically be like, your parents are bad people, they're, you know, in telling you all this stuff that's
morally
wrong,
shaming them.
basically, and
Yeah.
trying to basically be like, tell us everything because we're trying to save you from these bad people that smoke a plant.
Yeah, and it is. It's funny. Like we laugh about it, but it's ridiculous. But at the same
crazy.
time, it's like everybody in the world, it seems like, or at least in Canada, I think there's a lot more understanding that cannabis and the views on cannabis have changed rapidly. But as we spoke about beforehand, there's still people like police forces, right? Child protection agencies that think that, oh, signs of cannabis mean that we have to go in and we have to intervene to protect the kids.
Because it means other stuff.
Yeah,
that's what they
must be involved in some sort of criminal activity.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that they're doing it nefariously. I don't think that, you know, the police, child protection, they're trying to destroy families, but
they just don't know.
They don't have the training, they don't have the information, and it's, you know, just because legalization happened doesn't mean that thoughts and opinions change in someone's mind.
Well, for that to happen, they would need to roll out something like education with legalization. You know, we're going to legalize it. How about we set up this thing for the force to go through this program and learn what is good, what or good and bad is whatever. but what is more okay, and like, you know, don't call the cops because your neighbor is smoking a joint. That's ridiculous. Or your neighbor has a plant in their backyard. They're allowed.
Yeah.
Like we're wasting lots of time by doing this, and it's just
it is a waste of time. You're right.
All it took was a course or a seminar to be, you know, go through the stations and do a seminar. I'm sure they do all sorts of education.
Hey, I'm willing to do it, and I've already told Child Protection Agency, I'll show you, because I think part of it is the shock value. So 5 years ago, they would go in, they'd see a marijuana bud in someone's house, and that would be like red flag.
Yeah.
And now what I've been trying to educate anybody who's a first responder, anybody who deals with cannabis, to say that just because you see this plant sitting here doesn't mean that this is indicative of all these other things. And also, I've educated some of these people through experiences that I've had that, you know, my child gets a hold of a plant. I want him to let me know, hey, Dad, I found this.
Yeah.
I don't want him to say, oh my God, the same reaction that some of these people have. And I've also educated them that if my son eats that, which I don't think my son would eat it, but even if he does, you know, the THC isn't activated. The chances of him being somehow seriously injured is almost non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can point to a case where it's happened.
Exactly.
And it's the safest of what they label narcotics, technically. I don't think it should be labeled a narcotic, but that's a whole nother conversation. Sure. But yeah, no, like, especially with first responders, like, why get involved in somebody's life and over a bag of weed?
And let me answer that question. That's a very good question, and I've been trying to play with that for a long time. And I think in Toronto, for example, from the last time I've done my research, a police officer in Toronto cannot have any THC in his system for 28 days.
Yeah.
Which means unless you're on a 5-week vacation, you're not able to consume cannabis.
Yeah.
My big argument towards the Toronto police or any police service is, if you're protecting my community and you're showing up to any kind of call and I'm under the influence of cannabis, maybe I'm a little paranoid. Maybe I'm like, holy shit, the cops are in my house with guns. If they don't have the experience of what it's like to be paranoid or what it's like to have the influence of cannabis, how can they effectively protect my community? How can they effectively respond to cases where people are in crisis because maybe they did smoke too much cannabis?
Yeah.
I would rather have the police come with a calm, empathetic tone than someone who's coming like, oh, cannabis. And many of them still have that attitude. And
absolutely.
I think it's because they are not given the opportunity to consume it because there's so much fear somehow this guy with a gun is going to go crazy.
And they're basically prevented from consuming it. I have friends that are police officers that have had to, after starting to work, had to stop coming to certain parties because they're hotbox. There's no way you're coming in there and not leaving with THC in your system. You know, like, it's just not happening. Yeah. But you're just a civilian and you're off for 3 days. Why can't you come to the party? You don't even have to smoke, but there's so much.
So careful.
Yeah, they have to be so careful. It's not worth it.
It's the Ross Rebliati story, right? He's the gold medal. He actually has his own cannabis brand.
Okay.
I wasn't planning on shouting him out, but my brother loves Ross Rebliati. He won a gold medal.
Got you.
For Canada in the Olympics in Nagano. and he had THC in his system. And he was stripped of the gold medal. This is in Japan. He was put in jail just for having it in his system. It was minuscule amounts. So his explanation was, hey, I was at a party. Yeah. They were smoking cannabis. It's in my system. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. The point is he was not impaired at the Olympics. He was not impaired. They gave him his gold medal back. But I've talked to Ross a couple of times, and that whole process of being put in jail,
traumatizing,
and he didn't bring anything, he didn't break any rules, it just was in his system. And this is the same thing I mentioned earlier, when you have employers, you have people who say, hey, THC in system bad, without looking deeper at, hey, we don't really have a proper test for THC impairment.
Exactly.
It's unfair to me.
I completely agree. And same, as a medical patient yourself, as a medical patient myself, it's one of the issues that's going to be fought, and I'm pretty sure being fought constantly, is what, just because I smoked yesterday, I'm driving impaired today?
And the way the law is written, they're saying you're guilty.
Yeah. So, and there's no way that's going to stick in court. By the way, like, that's not gonna work. Yeah. Like, I can't see that happening as a medical patient, but we've got to figure out something. Like,
we have to figure out something.
I don't know what it is. I don't have the answer, but education is a great starting point
for sure. And talking about it on like, this is exactly why you, legacies, high ladies, like, we need to have these open conversations without a fear that someone's going to break in and say, you guys are talking about something inappropriate. This is how we do it, I think. And I think that as long as I realize I don't have the answers, I know how to push buttons. I'm really good at pushing buttons. I'm really good at saying, hey, I see something wrong here. My intention is never to make anybody feel like, oh, you broke the rules. And my intention is to say the rules aren't clear.
To have a conversation about
even
the
to have a
rules.
Conversation. Like that's, I think, where we have to start. You know, like, there's no more debating, it seems like, in society. It's all about outrage culture.
Absolutely.
There's no more dialogue. Really.
There isn't. Conversations, I mean, it's we lose it a lot because of the online presence. People get to hide behind this veil and not be held accountable for their actions and words and things that they say. So we don't get a lot of this, you know, face-to-face discourse and conversation where we're discussing real things that are happening, you know, and like you said, not have to worry about, oh, you guys are talking about something inappropriate. No, we're not.
It's a lot of energy to have to try to always be thinking about who's listening and what are they. It's always a lot of energy.
Always. Absolutely. There's nothing you can do about that, though, sadly. I mean, it's part of the battle that we've chosen to partake in, man. And it's part of being someone that's fighting the stigma and being an advocate. And even as you said, like, being someone newer to the cannabis scene, really? Honestly, I love seeing it because you have this passion for it and you want to learn and you want to educate, and it makes you question all these things that people that have just been, especially coming from the legacy side, like, a lot of us are just so beaten up by all the bullshit that we just don't talk about it, and we just don't want to.
Because after a while, you just stop trying to explain.
Dude, how many of them have been raided? Me personally, woken up with a gun to the back of my head at 17 years old for cannabis.
Wow.
You know, like, and it's like, so yeah, I understand that a lot of us don't want to talk about it. Yeah. It's hard, and as you said, especially at a younger age, it's trauma for a plant, man. Yeah. Like, it's at the end of the day, that's when you say it like that. Yeah. Like, it's
yeah, no, for real. No, it was well said, very well said. Yeah.
You mentioned being on the methadone. Mm-hmm. We talked previously, and you talked about being involved in the 12-step program.
Yes.
So I actually wanted to get your. I've only talked to one person about this before, but what is their outlook or view on cannabis? Like, how does that work for you, using that as a support system?
Sure.
And then wanting to, because I'm sure they're fine with you doing methadone.
No.
Oh, no? As a way to get out?
No. That's the whole thing about the 12-step program. It's based on complete abstinence from all drugs.
Okay.
And I'm careful on how I speak, because I believe that the 12-step program, the way that it's written, it can help anybody with anything. It doesn't have to be a substance. You could have, like, a sex addiction. You could have an addiction to shoplifting, right? The whole idea is about taking accountability, saying, okay, where did I go wrong? where did I or where are there things that make me upset?
Yeah.
What upsets me? And then you write them down. You work with a sponsor. I want to make sure, and I talked to a couple of people before this to make sure I said this right.
Yeah.
Because, that I don't identify as being in any particular group. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Right? It's an anonymous group.
Got you.
But when it comes to cannabis, everybody in the 12-step groups that I go to knows that I consume cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to hide it. No, I don't have to hide it, but I have to be very conscious. I can't come into a meeting smelling like cannabis. I think these are all respectful things that I can do.
Fair.
The problem I have with the 12-step community is that it's so rigid that it doesn't allow room for someone who's on methadone. I was secretly on methadone, going to 12-step meetings for 15 years.
Yeah.
I volunteered in jails. Nobody else was volunteering in jails who wasn't on methadone. I was like the only guy who'd go in and bring meetings to inmates.
Yeah.
Because I felt it was important to just give somebody a message of hope when they're in a really dire situation. I loved it.
Huge.
But once people found out I was on methadone, people looked at me differently. I eventually came off of methadone, and I have successfully used cannabis to take away that constant gnawing need for an opiate.
Yeah.
And it's worked for me. But according to the people within the 12-step community, I am not clean and sober. And therefore, they feel justified in looking at me different.
Yeah.
Which brings up all the stigma and trauma.
Yeah.
So I have found a middle ground where there's 2 or 3 people within the 12-step community. They know I consume cannabis. They know I do it medically.
Yeah.
And I'm very open with them. And they say to me, hey, the fact that you're coming to us openly says something about your authenticity.
Yeah.
But the issue I have is that there is such like a group mentality, and sometimes it can push people away who are more artistic or on the fringes, who don't fall into the neurotypical type of person.
Yeah.
But for you know what, out of all the programs out there, it's probably one of the most successful. If anybody who has a really hardcore any kind of a drug problem, I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But the program is perfect. The way I look at it is, the program is perfect. The people are imperfect.
Got you.
Right?
Got you. Of course. And I think one of the biggest things that the 12-step program has done with it is the whole idea of a sponsor and a community, right? Because that's a lot of people coming from addiction have lost that.
They've isolated themselves.
They've lost that, right?
Yeah.
Whether through whatever means has got them there, a lot of people that are suffering from addiction either are isolated or have just don't want to tell anybody else and want to hide that
and
part,
they're stigmatized,
right?
and that's where it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Yeah, so it's great, and I just wanted to get their view on. I'd love if there was a chapter that was more chill with cannabis. I mean, it's a great thing to help people get off of narcotics,
and that's why I typically go to AA meetings.
Okay.
Which is Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's the same thing. They encourage you to be completely clean off of all substances.
Yeah.
However, because it's more focused on alcohol, there's a little bit less stigma. Right. And again, I don't advertise it.
Yes.
Like I do on my social media. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
But I don't go into a meeting talking about my cannabis use.
You're not smoking a joint out front.
Of course not. Yeah. Exactly. That would probably be problematic.
Pushing buttons, like that's way too
Unnecessarily.
much.
Exactly.
No, exactly. No, for no benefit.
Exactly.
It's not worth it. Speaking of smoking a joint.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
we rolled one up right before we got on.
I wanted to say though, I think yours is way better looking than mine. Like there's a guy another guy I wanted to shout out, Cobb, he's a Woody Nelson. I think he's a rep for Woody Nelson.
Oh, sick.
He makes these big fat. That's what it reminded me of. I've got something that's kind of like some Frankenstein thing. but I do want to comment that this cannabis that you put on this tray right here.
Yes.
It's sticky. It smells beautiful. Like I'm really impressed with what's here. Thank you. And I did bring some Unit 15 maybe for our next one.
Yes, we'll roll up another one.
This is
this
great.
is some Platinum Punch. We grew it. It's a test run from the Legacy Boys. So I mean, this is my third joint of it actually.
Yeah.
So you're the first consumer to actually get access to that one. So
I love it.
Cheers.
I love it. Thank you. The sticky icky.
Yes, sir. Flavor of the hybrids is always so nice. This one's got like almost like a. I never like saying rotten, but like it's. I don't even know
like
how
a
to
fromage kind of like
exactly
yes.
like a cheese type of
Yes.
rotten. Like it's just. Oh.
Yeah, sometimes rotten, if you can get it right before it fully rottens, it's
Yeah.
actually a good flavor.
Exactly.
And that's the great thing too about cannabis, and this is something too I really try to educate people who have no experience with cannabis. For 2 years, I didn't smoke any cannabis after I came off of opiates because I thought that's what I needed to do to perform for everybody. Just pee in a cup twice a week and say, "Hey, look, I'm clean. See, look." And I showed them.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, and then after 2 years, I'm like, nothing's happening in my life and the things I'm trying to do because I'm changing the medicine that was working for me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, okay, I'll follow society's rules. Okay, society says if you really want to be a father, you can't be smoking weed.
Yeah.
And there's such an inherent knee-jerk reaction. So one day I said, fuck it. And it was around the time that I lost my job at my former employer. I had been there 17 years. It's an American company, and there's a lot of stigma around cannabis and mental health. And I think what I'm realizing now is that everybody else views cannabis based on their own misinformation. So every time I tried to explain to my parents, my friends, this cannabis, it's helping me.
Yeah.
The response was not a conversation. It was, well, if you love your kids, you wouldn't do that. And then, so I started to realize so much of society is about shaming and guilting other people's behavior into doing things. And I realized if I use this substance in the way that I think it's intended, which is, okay, I'm blocked. I can't clean my apartment today. I don't know how to get through this block that I've got. And I use a sativa to kind of give me that energy I need to go, boom, I've just cleaned half an hour of my apartment I wouldn't have done before.
Yeah.
Or at nighttime, I'm just stressing about all the things I'm going through.
Sleep.
I get a nice heavy indica, I relax, and then there's less of an urgency for me to get to sleep.
Yeah.
Right? It really slows down
happens.
that. Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
And I think that the only tipping point we need to get over in society is that whether it's cannabis or any substance, who is somebody else to judge what works for somebody else's body?
Absolutely.
We're past the point of doctors telling us everything we need to know.
Yeah.
We can usually research the same amount of information that doctors have. I found something that works. And now it's just leaning into that, leaning into my videos, trying to show cannabis as a normal thing because especially in other parts of the world, for those 2 years I wasn't smoking cannabis, I was taking pictures.
Yeah.
And I was getting thousands of people liking my stuff. They were beautiful pictures. And then as soon as I switched to cannabis, everything went right downhill, right? Like going from like 10,000 likes to like 100 likes.
Yeah.
And I had to make a decision. Do I want to put in this long-term investment? Because I believe 100%.
Yeah.
I believe that I'm building a resume on Instagram.
Yeah.
Everything that I put on Instagram, I make sure is perfect because I don't just want the views in the moment.
Yeah.
I want someone to look at it in a year, a couple of years, and go back and go, "Oh, these are really cool videos."
Yeah.
And with that intention and not worrying about the views, I think that my content is getting better because of it. Because I'm not really as interested in how many people or who's liking it.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Organic content is the best because you'll keep making it.
Yeah.
When you're just making stuff for other people to watch, when you don't get views, you're going to stop making it.
Because that's your drive.
Because that's your drive.
Got it, yeah.
And it's going to put you at such a low, though, when you go up to, and this is what happens on social media, you'll have 2 or 3 videos go up to, 15, 30K, whatever, however many, and then your next 3 videos might get 200, and the highs and lows of all of that, if your only goal is those numbers, I can handle it. It'd be way too stressful.
But that is the drive, I think, for a lot of people.
And
I meet with people, and this is the thing that I think everybody should know in Instagram world.
Yes.
I'm autistic. I look at the numbers. I look at when peaks and valleys happen. I look at, that person mentioned marijuana and my viewers went down. Like, I'm starting to make all these connections and I'm adjusting my content. I have a lot less content of product. I make sure to avoid people like physically consuming the full inhalation, exhalation.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing how things shift, but what I'm seeing in the community, there's a lot of people who are like, I'm going to put up 100 stories in one day. because every story is going to count as a view.
Yes.
And then they have, look, I have 30,000 views, I have 50,000 views. And when I asked, like, they show me further down into their information, it's like, okay, your average view is 4 seconds. So that means people are just scroll,
clicking through.
Congratulations on your views.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not a view.
Worth anything to a company. If you ever wanted to monetize, that's not worth anything.
So
right?
I'm looking at my numbers now. Some of my best videos are almost 10% of the people who watched it liked it. The average is around like 0.1% to 1%, 2%, depending on who you are. But I'm like 5 to 10% on my videos.
Which is great.
So it tells me that I'm making good content. And at one point, someday, I think the algorithm's going to switch, right? And then I'll get the people. So why stress? Make good content now and
keep working, keep grinding. And honestly, it's just it's a good time to perfect your craft.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're just learning more and more and more and more. So by the time you get to that other side, or by the time Instagram catches up to us, really,
that's exactly it.
You'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And ideally skyrocket from there, because why not?
Yeah.
But on this same topic, let's talk about how difficult social media is to manage and act on and be on as a cannabis content creator, or I mean content creator in general, but
I think
especially consuming cannabis.
I think this is like the pinnacle point, or the conversation that I really want everybody to have.
Yeah.
There has been an enormous amount of social media influencers who have had their accounts completely taken down. Some of them get them back.
And then they take them again.
Or they'll say, this is a problem. I also think that there is something going on in the community where there's this drama where people are reporting each other.
Always.
And I think that what I want to say, and I'll look to the camera for this, like, stop fucking with your friends.
Yeah,
like,
agreed.
I don't care if you, as an influencer, are somebody that I don't respect because maybe I don't like the way you come across. I will always rate the fact that you're trying to express that cannabis is helping you.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're doing that, I don't care if we have a personality conflict, right? Like, let's all work together.
Absolutely.
Let's try to, like, destigmatize, because if you've never smoked cannabis, what interest do you have in what we're going through?
Literally.
But back to your point about the Instagram creators, like, I understand what that feels like, to have your whole life, up here, people are enjoying it, and it's like, this is how you communicate as a human being.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, this is their only artistic creativity.
And it could be their only social group.
This and what people don't realize is they make these knee-jerk reactions. Cannabis, bad, boom, let's close this down, let's shut their account down. And it's people sometimes maybe in a different part of the world who are making these decisions. And they're making them quick. And what I've noticed is there's no recourse. There's nobody to talk to. Unless you want to pay for that blue check mark.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to be like, oh, I saw you lost your account. We feel so bad for you.
No.
But to really validate the feelings. One got deleted today. Higher Healing was the name of the account.
Yep.
A lot of followers.
Yeah.
And she was talking to Chino today about it. And it's like, why is this happening? Like, what specifically, if we had a reason, like if someone said, these are the rules, you can't do this.
Yep.
But then I flip through my reels and I see Snoop Dogg smoking a big fat joint, and I see Mike Tyson selling his weed.
I get a sponsored ad for a weed delivery company in my area, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's not insane. I'm starting to learn that this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's a
100 years of misinformation, right? Can't be corrected by finger pointing and saying, you guys got to stop bothering us.
Yeah.
We as a community have to figure out, how do we all work together to say the rules are clear?
We need to get clear rules.
Then that's all it is. And that's all we ever really want. That's all society wants.
Yeah.
Right? But when, this is a brand new industry in Canada, we have an obligation as a country to say, hey, we're the leaders. The amount of restrictions on legal companies to become legal, to get your weed certified.
Yep.
There's so many hurdles, and there's weed shops all over downtown Toronto that are selling illicit weed.
Yep.
And I don't understand, why not take all of those resources that are pointed at the legal companies who are trying to do things right. Let's take that focus and put it on the people who are fucking up the industry.
Yeah.
If it's legal, right? We got to figure out very clear rules. And the only way we can do that is to have conversations like this.
Absolutely.
And until this point, until a few years ago, we all had to speak in hushed tones. And I think that there's a lot of people in the cannabis community even that realize we can speak with our full voice now.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the cops coming and breaking down the door.
Not at all.
Like that is a huge, and even the growing of weed.
Yeah.
You know, if you set up a grow before legalization, right, you can't put 100% of your effort into it because you have an exit strategy. You got to get out.
Yeah.
But now we have people,
career growers.
laboratories that are like trying to make this plant as powerful as it can.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and I'm excited to see it. And I think that when it comes to Instagram, we really have to get to a point. And I would love, and I'm almost at that point, to say, hey, Instagram, I use my social media to express myself and express how this plant has helped me come off of opiates, how it's helped me address trauma.
Yeah.
And in Canada, we used to have 100 years ago, you'd be up on a soapbox. That was communication. There was no social media.
Yeah.
Now we communicate through social media. This is our primary means of communication. This is an outside company, I'm speaking of Instagram, who's working within Canada.
Absolutely.
They should be following our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And when they, and I don't know if a lot of people know this about shadow banning. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. So we'll explain it briefly.
Yeah, I was just going to say, tell the people.
For sure, yeah. Like shadow banning, like for me, if you go to type in bud tender dad,
yeah,
and you put in all the letters except for the last one, like normally it would auto-populate.
Yeah.
When you're shadow banned, you have to put in every single letter exactly. Nobody's helping you find it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, right off the bat,
makes it
way more
difficult to find.
Yeah, exactly. The second thing is these rules are not transparent. It's changing, and it depends on the situation. And it's not fair to people who are putting their heart and soul into making an Instagram account.
Absolutely.
Saying, hey, I want to connect with other human beings. This is communication. And from the way I look at it is these foreign companies have an obligation. There's people who can write code to say, okay, in Canada, we're going to let these people have their stuff shared.
Yeah, they could.
So you have the shadow banning, which I mentioned, right? And then you have none of my reels are recommended to any new viewers.
Yes, which is super difficult.
Only followers and people who reshare it.
Yeah.
Not only is it difficult, but it's discriminatory.
Yeah.
Right? It's saying that we are making a judgment that your content doesn't follow our rules, but nobody's putting in the effort to try to understand. No one's understanding the and saying, hey, we think you're violating rules. Tell us why you're not.
Exactly.
That would be perfect, and then we'd have a chance. But the way it is you have to have a blue check mark. You got to pay money to have a help desk. Yeah. It's very discriminatory.
And I hate that in this world in general that things are going that way. That like, oh, there's an issue. I use this service. I do all these things, but then I have no way to actually contact anybody. I had to talk to a bot, and if I do get to talk to someone, it's 48 hours one way, 48 hours back the other way. So now I'm already 4 days without my account, which is huge when you're talking about social media if you're on an uptick, because that's
after
the
2
only
days
way
they
you keep
off.
getting promoted. If you don't keep getting more, you stop getting shown in the the For You page or whatever platform you're on.
Exactly.
So it's so bad that we can't just communicate with somebody. That's all it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because then they could be like, okay, this is the rule you broke. Next time, do this, blah, 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 blah. Like, don't they want us using their services?
I think the intention is to frustrate enough so that we just give up. It's the same thing that I saw when I was working in the corporate world. It's the same thing I've seen in policing and child protection. It's like when you have specific questions and you want to have a dialogue, they will frame you as the person with the problem. They'll say, like, they'll even, presuppose, oh, are you getting upset? Are you frustrated?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm just trying to have a dialogue. But
insurance companies do it too.
There's another one.
That killed me.
Why? Why?
There's a lot of money hanging in the balance. Every question's 48 hours, and I've got this interest that I'm paying.
There's almost like it really feels like it's almost a lack of respect. People have this vision, and I've heard you say it in your intro.
Yeah.
You want to break the myth of the lazy stoner.
Absolutely.
But so many people, Cheech and Chong are really their only reference point for weed.
Yeah.
Anybody who's never smoked, that's pretty much the reference point,
enough.
right?
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, silly and playing stupid because that's the only way they were able to give their craft.
Or their other reference is this silly kid from their neighborhood that got really stoned, and it's like, yeah, there was 10 other stone people that you never knew smoked
because they were able to hide it properly.
They hide it. There was one kid that got real stoned, and you were like, "Oh, that guy's a goofball," but like, you had no idea that the valedictorian is the biggest stoner in the school.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing, is that when people realize, oh, that person smokes weed, sometimes people are really surprised because of those myths that, oh, I thought if they smoked weed, they couldn't show up to a job, they couldn't do this, and
how can they do all this and smoke?
Yeah, and it's so ingrained. People have it so ingrained because it's so long. Yeah, it's been so long that it's a reaction that's really quick. And again, that comes back to my videos, right? I show a lot of videos that really focus on normalizing what's going on inside.
Yeah.
And I've learned in the last couple of videos, take the cannabis out of it. Yeah, because it is I mean, I don't have to. Like, I would probably get the same reach, but what I'm realizing is, the cannabis sometimes is what triggers people. So one of my videos I did for the Green Closet, which is up on Parliament, one of my favorite stores. I love them. All of them are amazing people. And what I realized, they had a coffee day.
Yeah.
Where they're bringing the community in, come and have some coffee. And you don't have to buy anything.
I saw you post that.
Yeah.
And it looked like a vibe.
It was a vibe.
Like
but
a vibe.
I'm like, we put a couple, I think, products. I think I actually took them out in the final edit.
Yeah.
But the intention is to say, hey, sometimes people are triggered by even just the logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I can show cannabis and take that part out, because I mean that's assumed anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then it also helps, I think, with the algorithm eventually too.
Absolutely. Right? And I think that's where, like, if people really get to see, and it's where I see value in what you do, especially when you're doing those videos at these at the dispensaries and at the events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because you get to showcase the community of cannabis, not just cannabis. And it's like, look, there's 100 people out here, all these people doing all these different things,
capturing emotion,
and that,
basically. I'm trying to say that,
and it's like it's a statement in itself just by posting that. And especially if you're like the direction you're saying, like, oh, just take the cannabis out of it, like, don't show the logo, like, that's a cool angle.
Yeah, unless it's about a specific brand.
Of course.
I'm learning. Yeah. And I did the Camp Canada video, and it was the same thing. It's like, here are grown-ups consuming cannabis.
Yeah.
And I shared that video with employees from the U.S. from the company I used to work for.
Yeah.
Quite a few thousand people saw the video. And there was a lot of comments like, oh, well, you should know better. This company is against cannabis or something along those lines. And then people chimed in, well, I'm from this state and it's legal here, but if I get a drug test, I'm fired.
Yeah.
And what felt great about it started off with just the video, right? And it was kind of meant to be like, hey, in your face. But at the same time, it's also meant to be like, hey, look, it's normal.
Yeah.
And the Camp Canada video, it was the same thing. It was, I really want to, and you mentioned the people.
Yeah, exactly.
My videos will not work unless I have at least one person or a couple people to give me their expression, because that's what I'm trying to capture. It's the authentic emotion of human beings who are free through whatever means they choose to express themselves. And I get some of the most authentic expressions of happiness and joy. And I don't usually get those with people who don't smoke weed, right?
I had some serious FOMO of that one. I'm not gonna lie. Canna Camp or Camp Canna? What was it? Yeah, I saw Chino and you posting, and I was just like, oh man, it just looks like a good time.
Next year, man.
Looks like a good time. I'll try to make it work. You know, it's a busy life, but
no, it is. But what was great too is that I live downtown. I live right in the middle of Moss Park, and shout out to all my homies. What's up, Moss Park? But I've lived there for 2 years. I grew up in the suburbs. I'm in Moss Park because of circumstance, just because of things that have happened to me. And it's like the roughest neighborhood maybe in Canada, right? In terms of like shootings and stuff.
Rough
and I've learned to kind of fit in my own awkward way. And I don't remember where I was going with that, but I think the point is that cannabis really helped me bridge that gap. Because without it, I'm this like really narrow-minded, very structured, like, okay, tell me what to do next. and that's helpful when I want to do certain tasks, but I can't be like that all day, you know?
Of course.
So the cannabis helps me get away from that micro and kind of bring me out to that macro.
Bring you out.
Yeah.
Another thing that you brought up to me and you posted, and I was totally like surprised by, was the OCS bus wrap. Man.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yes.
Thank you. I could talk on this all day.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Not all day. I could talk about it all day.
Absolutely, but I know, like, dude, I've heard from multiple people frustrations about what they did. So
yeah, please.
So
so it's a streetcar.
Yeah.
And I live off of Dundas Street, so I see it all the time. And the streetcar is wrapped, and it says the intention of what they're trying to say they're doing is don't drive high. Come to this website where you can learn about the effects of driving high. And the whole thing is under the premise that you're doing it to learn about the effects of cannabis and driving high. But when you go to the website, you're one click away from buying cannabis. So essentially what they're doing, and this streetcar, by the way, has got THC jars on it with THC logos.
Yeah.
There's no name on it. There's no actual company name, but it's got the logo. And for years, the OCS has been saying to all retailers, no, nobody can see this. You can't see this. This is dangerous. If the kids see the jars, oh my God, the kids are going to explode if they see the jars. And then I'm standing at Yonge and Dundas, and I'm watching this streetcar go by, and I'm like, the first time I saw it, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? It is clear that you can't go to the Rogers Center and see an advertisement for any cannabis.
Yeah.
Right? You can't. It's
not allowed.
So restricted. Right? So and part of it was the jars. So like, you can't see the jars. You can't see in the windows. Okay. Oh my God, the jars. and there's fucking jars
on the
all
bus.
over the streetcar. And what frustrates me is you have people in retail. One more I want to show, 1922 Cannabis. These people fucking let me hang out on their bench outside when I was going crazy last year. Those people are wonderful. 1922 Cannabis, they're awesome. Oh wow, I just had a complete brain fart there where I was going with that.
The bus.
The streetcar. So
yes.
So it's like you have people like Mike at 1922.
Yeah.
Okay. They are doing everything by the rules. They're beside a cannabis 24-hour dispensary that used to be a real dispensary.
Got you.
And then it's not. And then it was shut down. It was raided a couple times.
Yeah.
But he's basically, as he said on other podcasts, he's in a bare knuckle brawl.
Absolutely.
With people. And you have people doing it right. And then you have this fucking streetcar going by that says, hey, people who've never tried weed, because those are the people they're looking for.
Absolutely.
Right? Oh my God, I've never tried weed. Let me learn about it. Oh, let me click on this one link that says OCS store.
And it's a government website.
And it's a government website. They're taking customers away from the retail environment.
That was my biggest gripe with it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You're an OCS, you're a distributor to the dispensaries,
yeah.
And then you're putting an advertisement out that, and if they're going to say that it's not an advertisement, but anybody in marketing can see that is that's an advertisement. Yeah. All day long.
Yep.
And they're taking customers away from the people that they're already selling. It's like the distributor trying to cut out the storefronts. It's a crazy thing. And that's the gripe I had personally when I saw it, and I've heard from other people, is that one thing. Like, regardless of everything else, that's a crazy move.
Yeah. and I think that we're at that point in society where everyone is almost like, I don't give a fuck. Right? They're responsible. They've got their budgets. They've got people that tell them you got to meet these sales targets.
Yeah.
How can we do that? I have a way. We'll make it under the premise of public safety. Education.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I lost that one. At the same time, right? We have government regulators who are going into legal cannabis events. Yeah. Right? We have our CanCell certification. That is supposed to get you into events. It's supposed to show you're a CanCell certified bud tender.
Yeah.
If there's issues around employment, they need to figure that out. Because when you are invited to an event and you go to the event and all of a sudden the rules change and every person has different rules, it's not about the people. And I really want to make sure people know, I think the most amazing representatives in the world work in cannabis.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about them and what they have to do. It's about, again, the unclear rules. Make the rules the same. If it's about employment, figure out some sort of like computer system that can confirm employment. But when you have different events and different rules, we got the health department's here or the Health Canada's here.
Yeah,
so we gotta do these, like, something's not right
what
with
is
that.
yeah, no, exactly.
And I posted something about this, and I felt really bad about it. I really felt like, because I really want to do everything positive I can for the industry.
Yeah.
But it felt at some of these events as if the purpose is about trying to gather information, trying to figure out, okay, who works where so we can make as much money as possible. And in the process, people are being excluded. There's many people in the influencing community who have been supporting the legal industry for years who have been uninvited to events.
Yeah.
And,
it's sad.
And so it's
just because they don't currently have a bud tender job.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem too, right? Like, what happens if all of a sudden you lose a leg and you got to take a few months off?
Yeah.
What, you're excluded from events now because you can't come to them?
So you don't get the education to come back and actually maintain your job?
Yeah, and that's part of it.
That's what the events are, in my mind. That's part of it. And events are education.
You said something, and one more person I want to shout out. It's coming to me very naturally. Hi Buds Club.
Okay.
Right? I brought this up with them personally, and I said, hey, what if somebody's going through major trauma? Maybe they can't work at the moment, but they want to stay interested. Hi Buds Club, you can still be part of them. You won't get the flights, you won't get the samples, but you can stay up with the education. So you're right, absolutely right, that these events are meant so you can meet people, you can network, you can stay involved.
Yeah.
If something happens to you medically and you have to be out of the industry for a few months, basically, how do you catch back up?
Yeah.
Right? It's impossible. So my post the other day, my issue is just with rules. Make the rules clear, right? And don't overrule everything.
It's the same thing we were just talking about with social media. It's just, we just want a set of clear rules.
Correct.
And like you said, you're going to make this a requirement. Give us a way to show it that doesn't violate other things and make us disclose more than we have to, because we want to protect ourselves too.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, it's a crazy world, man.
Yeah, for real.
When it comes to cannabis, when did it come into your life? Like, was it when you came off the methadone the first time you consumed?
No, so my first using cannabis, I was about 18 or 19.
Okay.
I didn't touch it because I was terrified. I grew up, I'm almost 50
as you
now,
were saying.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was a while ago, and cannabis was like, it was really stigmatized.
Yeah.
So I stayed away from it out of fear. I was afraid to do it. And then I met a friend, another guy I'll shout out, AJ Hammond. He was in one of my ping pong videos with Chino.
Nice.
But he would come over with his girlfriend.
Okay.
And they needed a place to smoke weed because it was like, this is in Oakville, suburban Oakville. No matter where you go, you're sitting in a parking lot, the cops are bothering you, right?
Yes.
So they needed to find a place. So they would come over. They would get me high. It was some sort of heavy, like, indica, because like I would fall asleep. And it almost became every night for a couple months, right? Where it's like, I'm like, oh my God, this helps me go to sleep, right? So after they left, I kind of stayed away from it. I didn't really touch it at all. I went on methadone in 2003.
Yeah.
And then for 15 years, I was completely away from it. So even in my childhood, like, I have a very limited experience. I had a couple bottle tokes when I was like, maybe 16, 17.
Throw back to
18,
bottle tokes.
Around there. Like I had very, very, it was like 2 or 3 times in my teens.
Shout out Brandon from Ganja Glam, still rocking the bottle tokes.
Oh my God.
His entire episode, he was smoking bottle tokes.
Oh my God, oh really?
Yeah.
I got to see that one. Oh my God. No, and there's another one. Shout out to Brandon. I don't know when this is airing, but they have the boat cruise August 24th.
Yes. So this is going to be after, but Lake and Bake is going to be popping off then.
Oh, man,
yeah. Good time. They always throw a good party, bro. There's some good guys. Shout out again, Brandon, Chino,
oh my God,
Glam.
they're awesome.
You guys are really big for the community.
For real. But yeah, no, I and then I was 15 years and then I went back into it. But when I went back into it, but I do have an experience to tell you about with cannabis.
Okay.
When in 2001 I was a security guard.
Okay.
And I was buying weed on the street in a little dime bag. Actually, it was 1999. And I bought weed from the same person, and I met up with her, and I was arrested for 2 dime bags of weed. She had
1999.
Yeah,
fuck.
It was like it was about October 1999, and then so I had to end up doing 25 hours of community service for 2 dime bags of weed.
Damn.
I was at a halfway house with people who were of disrepute. Let's just say that. I was going to say another word, but let's just say people of disrepute.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm mopping the floors of this halfway house with strange people, and I, I just had 25 hours to do, and the guy after 12 hours, he's like, "You've done enough."
Yeah.
Because I was like, I didn't know how to defend myself. I was.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 22.
Yes.
And I was in my security guard uniform. That was the worst part. I was like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed. Right? So I kind of stayed away from it because of that.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. So now, what's your consumption like? You consuming daily?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then purposeful consumption?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm living in a situation right now where it's essentially almost poverty, right? Like the place where I'm living at, what I'm going through, I know that I'm going to be coming out of it, and I'm actually on my way up out of it, right? I went through a really, really hard time. And sometimes I have a good amount of cannabis of different kinds, and I can really selectively say, hey, I'm going to use this for this. I've got this much sativa, I've got this much indica, I've got this. I'm very intentional with my cannabis use.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have to go without, and I really, and you know what? I have learned that's good. Like the universe is telling me, hey, for whatever reason, you don't have any right now.
Yeah.
And I don't chase it anymore. I don't.
Which is great.
And when I was on methadone, when I was on those opiates, I was always wanting to chase.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, what the heck, when I have it. But it's usually daily consumption. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. What's your favorite way to consume?
I've been smoking cigarettes lately.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was off it for 20 years, and I started smoking because I've just been going through a lot. So somebody got me into Grabba.
Oh,
I watched an episode.
Yes,
you had to get
yes. There's been a few.
And once I realized that I put that Grabba, or I put a little bit of nicotine with it, it kind of gives me a little bit more sometimes.
Yeah.
So lately I've been smoking a lot, but I have a dab rig, and I love to do like shatter and like if I need to really escape the to get into the macro.
Yeah.
I'll take a massive dab of something.
Yes.
And I'll start sweating. I'll lay on the floor. Like everything will but I know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
And then after 5 minutes, I'm fine, right?
Yeah,
like, exactly. but it's like sometimes my brain just
needs to
reset. Exactly.
That's perfect, man. All right. Well, I mean, anything we missed or anyone you want to shout out, go through that before we wrap up?
No, there's nobody. Like, I'm sure there's people that I'm missing. I'm sure there is. I know Joannabis Vibes. I wanted to shout her out because she's helped me out when I was going through some difficult times. And
awesome.
And she's an Instagrammer who she's doing like stand-up comedy and stuff now. And
dope.
She's like around my age, and she's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start doing things. So shout out to her. Camp Canna, Strictly Hippie, AJ. There's tons of people. I'm sure there's tons we missed. I mean, I've got this crazy life, but
always.
They
know it's love, though. They know it's love.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. No. I. You know what? I have been respected and loved in this community so much. At first, I felt like a 50-year-old guy just walking around with a camera, which I am, right? But once I start putting it together, and people are like, "Oh, we actually can do something with it," right? I don't feel so insecure as I used to, but awesome. but I love the love from the community.
Yeah, we'd love to see you coming out, and I hope to see more of you. And thanks for coming out here again, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you want to keep up with our guest today, drop him a follow on Instagram at BudTenderDad. I want to give a huge shout out to Sean Sweeney at SeanCS10 for everything you do for the podcast and making this all happen. And to all our viewers, I hope you tune in next time. And until then, stay positive, stay passionate.